All right, all right, everyone. Good evening and welcome to tonight's session. Okay, so tonight we're going to be looking at a very special topic under the HR analytics specialization. Okay, so if you are a HR analyst or you are someone that is enthusiastic about the HR profession and also enthusiastic about the tech industry, trust me, this project is something that you would love to see. Okay, so before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Mary, and I would also like to get to know each and every one of us on this call and exactly where we are joining from. All right. So do me a favor, type into the chat and introduce yourself. I can see Tolu Lokwe. All right. So go into the chat, tell us exactly where you are joining from, and let's get to meet each other. Okay. All right, we can see Adeza from Canada. All right, who else is out there? Who else is out there? Okay, Pamela from Abuja. Wow. Welcome, Pamela. All right, we have Promise from Lagos. Amazing. Tolu Lokwe from UK. Wow, amazing. Welcome, guys. Mary from Lagos. Awesome. Mary's my namesake. Wow. Welcome, Mary. I'm hoping to see more responses. Okay. All right. So before we get started, I have a little game for us tonight, or rather, let me call it a riddle, right? So I want us to pay key attention to it and type in the right or correct answer in the chat, all right? I believe from the riddle, you should be able to piece one or two things together to make sense out of what the actual answer should be, okay? So the riddle goes like this, all right? I build a company's greatest assets, all right? But I have no hammer, saw, or nail. I foster growth, but plant no seeds, and quench conflict without even conceding. What am I? All right? What am I? Okay, I will go again one last time. I build a company's greatest asset, but I have no hammer, saw, or nail. I foster growth, but plant no seeds, and quench conflict without even conceding. What am I? If you know the answer, just type it in the comment section. If you know the answer, go ahead and type it in the comment section. All right? Okay, I'm not seeing any answers yet. I'm not seeing any answers yet. It's like this one is a bit okay. So I can see Miriam has saved us here. Miriam says HR professional. Okay, so not to waste too much of our time, Miriam is actually very, very correct. All right. A HR professional helps to build a company's greatest assets. All right. And not just that, tonight we are going to be learning how we can tie HR and tech together to even bring more meaning to the HR professional's role. All right. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Okay. All right, guys. So like I mentioned earlier, we are going to be building an employee demographic dashboard using a tool called Power BI. All right. So I believe we are all ready and we are excited tonight to see exactly how we are going to be piecing our data into a fully functional report or a fully functional and interactive dashboard for us to use for our analysis. Okay, so before we get started, let's get to meet Tenalytics, all right? So Tenalytics is a leading tech edutech company that focuses on providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data consulting services. With over 4 years of building the talents of the technology workforce, we have helped over 2,000 plus people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across the UK, US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and Africa. We are committed to making the technology sector more accessible through premium experimental trainings in data analytics, business analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, Scrum, cybersecurity, and AI engineering. Our team of instructors our team of instructors from leading global companies like Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey, Amazon, and so on and so forth. They are going to be bringing a wealth of real-world experience and are dedicated to delivering an engaging practical learning experience that ensures you receive the most and premium value for your investments into your future. All right. So let's get to meet some of our speakers for tonight. We have for the first speaker, no other than our founder, Adeiza Suleiman. Adeiza is a technology expert with close to a decade of experience in data analytics and management consulting. As the founder of Tenalytics, Adeiza has helped over 2,000 plus people with no prior experience or tech background to transition into tech and land their first jobs in tech as well. Adeiza experience spans across data science. As a data science consultant, he has worked as a data science consultant in the UK and US, a data analyst and business performance with the Sahara Group Limited, and a data analytics consultant with FITC. He has worked in sports, financial services, edutech, engineer, and automobile sector, and currently resides in Alberta, Canada. He has personally trained over 8,500 participants. All right. So we have Adeiza here. I believe you can see him in the on your screen right now. So let's welcome Adeiza and give him a round of applause. All right. So you can also go into the chat and say welcome Adeiza. All right. Okay. So let's continue. We have another speaker as well tonight, no other than Mary. Mary is a senior data associate and a HR analytics expert. Mary is a data professional with half a decade of experience in the data analytics and HR analytics field, with expertise in cutting-edge tools such as Power BI, Excel, Tableau, Python, and SQL. As a senior data associate at Tenalytics, she has helped 1,065 people transition into tech. Mary's experience spans across various industries, including legislative bodies of the House of Representatives, importation and marketing, NGO, and edutech. And Mary also transitioned into tech. So as you can see, it's not something that we were born with or we went to school for, but I mean, we learned it and became experts. And that is exactly what we are going to be doing for each and every one of us on this call today, helping us to understand and see how easy it is for us to transition into tech. All right. But today, let's look at what we have in store for us. All right. So first of all, we are going to be building a fully functional HR employee demographic dashboard using a technology tool called Power BI. All right. So we are going to be working on a hands-on project right now on this call, helping us to see how we can build a structured employee demographic dashboard from scratch. Okay. After that, we'll look at why you need to get started as a HR analyst. All right. What you need to get started as a HR analyst. Okay. So if you stick around, you would be finding out everything you need to know to get started as a HR analyst. And then after that, we'll be talking about our upcoming cohort in June 8th, 2024. And we'll also be looking into our success stories. All right. So let's stay tuned. I believe we're excited. All right. I believe we are getting ready. If you're excited, just go in the chat and type, yes, I am excited, or just type yes, yes, yes. Maybe yes with capital letter, so I know those that are actually ready for this meeting. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so I can see Pamela. Pamela is really, really excited. All right, awesome. So yeah, let's go on. Okay, so we are going to be looking at a case study tonight. All right, we're going to be looking at a case study tonight, and this case study covers a particular company, right? And the name of this company is Zane Inc. All right, so Zane Inc. is a large company with offices in multiple countries, and they need a way to track employee demographics to identify any area of imbalance or potential risk. Okay, so our objective today, what we are going to be helping this company to do today, is to develop a human resource dashboard to help Zane Inc., all right, track their employee headcount, all right? And we are going to be looking at this by department, okay, by gender, ethnicity, and age range. All right. So we know as HR professional, we have all these bodies of individual or what we call talents, right? Working in an organization. So for us to be able to understand if there's any imbalance within that organization, we have to look at some key areas. All right. And when we start visualizing our data, we'll start seeing ways that we can actually find out imbalance or discrimination or in the non-inclusiveness within the organization, all right? And from our dashboard, we'll be able to tackle all these issues, bring in new policies for this organization to be able to treat their employees fairly and proper, all right? So first, we'll be tracking our employee headcount by department, gender, ethnicity, and age range. Then we'll also be looking at the salary ranges across different departments within this organization. Okay, so let's get started. All right. So okay, so we are going to go and get our data sets. Don't worry, I'm going to be sharing this link in the chat right now so that every one of us can get hands-on and ready and work along with me in this particular project. Okay, so we are going to be looking at a data set that has to do with Zane Inc. All right. This data set has to do with Zane. It contains everything about their employee, their location, their age group, their gender, and all that. And this is what we need to actually analyze our data. All right. So I'll go ahead and let's get to that data so that I can share it with each and every one of us. Okay. All right. So I believe we can all see my screen. Okay, so this is our employee demographic data set for Zane Inc. And as you can see, we have a list of information here that covers everything we need to know about their workforce. Okay, so we have our employee ID. We have the full name of these employees, their job titles, departments, business units, okay, gender, ethnicity, age, hire dates, and every other information that we need to make sense of this data. We want to know how many employees we have in this organization, the average age of these individuals, and we also want to know how many of them are in a particular department, all right? These are things that are going to help us make decisions about if a particular department is oversaturated, if we are spending too much money in a particular area, how many employees we have, are we hiring more Asians than Black people? All those things that will help us understand the breakdown and the demography of an organization, all right? So like I said, I'm going to be sharing the link right now in our chat. All right, so here we go. So we have Okay, so if you want to go ahead and work with me right now, you can go ahead, click on that link. I can see more people are coming into the sheet right now. So you can go ahead, click on that link and work with me, all right? Okay, so the first thing we are going to do tonight is to download our data sets, all right? So you know how you have your pantry in the house, and whenever you want to go and get any foodstuff or ingredients to make food, you go into that pantry and select the particular ingredients that you need. The same goes for our data sources, right? We go into our database and get the exact data set that we need, all right? And for tonight, the data set or the ingredient that we need to perform this analysis is our employee demography data. All right. So now let's download. All right. Let's download it. Okay. Let's download this data set. All right. Let's download this data set. So go to file. All right. Go to file. Click on that file. And we're going to go over to where we have download. All right. We're going to go over to where we have download. Okay. So once we get to download, we go over to our Excel file. All right. You want to download it as your Excel file. Okay. So I'll go ahead and do that on my end. All right. And my file is downloaded. Okay. All right. So it says download in progress, and that's successful. Okay, so I want to go over to where I have this file stored. So I'm going to click on the file here, on the folder icon right here. All right, on the folder icon right here. Okay. All right, I'm going to go over here and click on this folder. All right. So once I click on the folder, it takes me directly to where I need to find my information. All right. So if you download your file, you should definitely find it under your downloads in your file explorer. All right. Under your downloads in your file explorer. Okay. So once you get there, you have your file, you are ready to go. All right. So again, I would also send a link for us to see exactly how we can download our Power BI for those of us that don't have that yet, all right? So I'll go over here and get that link, all right? I'll go over here and get that link for us right now, okay? All right, so because of our time, we might not be able to go through this process in detail. That's to get Power BI. But luckily for us, at the end of this session, we are going to be getting the full recording of this particular session. So we can practice step by step on our own as well, okay? So make sure to fill that form that is being passed around in the chat to ensure that you get this video at the end of this call, all right? At the end of this call. Okay, so let's go on. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Power BI. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Power BI. All right, so this is what Power BI looks like. Okay, this is what Power BI looks like. So what we want to do here is to first of all go ahead and select and bring in our data. Like I said, we went to the pantry to get some ingredients. Now it's time for us to, look at the ingredient that we brought in, all right? We're going to go ahead and check inside that pantry if we have all the ingredients we need, all right? If there are some expired ingredients, or if we have some ingredients that we need to replace, or in fact categorize or arrange properly. Okay, so that means that we are going to be using something called Power Query to ensure that our data is ready for analysis. Okay, so we are going to go into Excel to get our data. All right, we are going to go into Excel to get our data. So I'll click on this employee demographic data set that I just downloaded and go on to open up my Power Query to analyze this information. Okay. All right, so I'm waiting for my data set to load. All right, so here we go. We have our first data preview. Okay, this allows us to see exactly what our data contains before even going ahead to, clean it up and make it ready for analysis. Okay, so once we get here, you would see all the sheets that you have in your data, all right? So the sheet we want to go for is the first sheet right here, which is called Table 1. Once I click on this checklist, I would see all the preview of my data. And like we already saw, this is exactly the data set that we need, all right? So if you bring in your data and you find out that, oh, this looks different from what we were looking at in Excel, or in our web page browser, all right, immediately go ahead and cancel and take that process again. But as you can see, we have the correct data. So what do we do? Like I said, we are still in our pantry and we need to organize and find out those things that are expired. That's data sets that are error or have discrepancies, all right, missing null values and all that. We need to go into our pantry and select all those expired data or expired ingredients and throw them out, or bring in or rearrange the way these ingredients are set in that pantry, okay? So I'll go ahead and click on transform, and we'll be going into a new interface called Power Query. All right, so I hope you guys can still see my screen. If you can see my screen, just type yes in the chat. If you can see my screen, just type yes in the chat. All right, awesome. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, I can see you, Sue, Pamela. Awesome, awesome. All right, so let's get started. Okay, like I said, we are going to be fishing out those ingredients that are expired, those ingredients that needs proper organizing and all that, okay? So we go through our columns and we see each and every one of them in their right data type. You can see our column quality telling us that our data is 100% valid, okay? So we are going to go through the entire data set and see if this is the case for everything, okay? If that is the case for everything, right? So let's go through, right? So I can see most of my data set, everything is 100% valid, except for this column right here, all right? So if we are familiar with HR function, we know that we have a column or a place where we record for employees who have left the organization, okay? So for HR analysts, this might be a very peculiar area, right? We would see null values and we'll be like, oh, we need to delete or remove this data, all right? Or something is wrong with our data set, but that's not the case, okay? So our exit date just basically tells us that some employees have left the organization, and for those that have no record, they are still with the company, all right? So this is not something to panic about or start removing data, all those processes, all right? So we are going to skip this and move on to other columns, all right? So like I said, we've been able to detect every ingredient in the pantry and looked at each column one after the other, and we see that everything is up to date, all right? Although maybe some of our spices are half-filled, but that doesn't mean that they are expired and we want to throw them out, all right? So another thing we want to do inside this pantry right now is to ensure that our data sets are well organized for us to be able to analyze them properly, okay? And one of those columns, or rather ingredients, that we are going to reorganize tonight is our salary column, all right? Is our salary column, okay? So how do we organize our salary column? You know how we have different types of, noodles, or rather pasta, we have macaroni, spaghetti, and all that, right? So we want to make sure that we grade our salaries into different kind of ranges, all right? So if you look here, you will see majorly numbers, all right? Numbers, all right? But what we want to do now is to ensure that we can identify or categorize individuals that earn low salary, individuals that earn high salary, or individuals that earn very, very high salary. So we want to be able to categorize these individuals step by step, all right? So this is what we are going to do here, okay? We are going to select this column, all right? I'll head over to a tab called Add Column, all right? So if you can see my cursor, you see that I'm going to be clicking on Add Column right now, all right? So Add Column makes it very easy for me to find ways to categorize this data efficiently. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing right now, okay? So I'll go ahead to where I have conditional columns, all right? So this is going to help me to categorize my salary ranges. But before I click on that, I need to make sure that I know what is my maximum salary and what is my minimum salary, so I can properly categorize this fairly and efficiently, okay? So here we go. I'm going to click on this filter button on my salary column, and a list comes out where I see the first salary, which is our minimum salary, 40,063, all right? And then if I scroll down, all right, to the last salary here, I'm going to see that I have what? I have 258,498, all right? 258,498. Okay, that is our maximum salary, okay? That is our maximum salary, all right? So once you note that 40,063, 258,498, okay? So once you note that down, you have your ranges to help you categorize these salaries, all right? You have your ranges to help you categorize these salaries. So quickly, we're going to get into our column, our conditional column. I'll click on Add Column, and I'll get my interface that allows me to see exactly areas or inputs that I can use to categorize this data properly. First thing I'll do here is to do what? Give this data set or column a new header. So I'll go ahead and name it salary range. Okay, salary range. Then we first of all find our column name, all right? So we want to give it this condition. If our total salary or our annual salary, okay, first condition is less than or equal to, okay, let's say less than or equal to 85. So we are looking at 40,000 to 85,000. So I'll just put in 85,000. Then we want to see low or lower income, all right? So that's what we are going to categorize these individuals as, lower income class, all right? Okay, we're going to repeat that step again, but this time around, we are going to take it a grade higher, all right? We are going to take it a grade higher, okay? So column, all right? Annual salary, operator, is less than or equal to, all right, less than or equal to 1,500. That is for the second category, all right, 1,500, all right. Okay, sorry, 150,000, all right, my bad, all right, 150,000. Okay, so for this category, we are going to name them middle, all right, middle income, all right, middle income, all right. These are the middle income earners. Okay, so we still have two more to go. Okay, the second one, we're going to be giving this category, we're going to be classifying them under high salary earners, all right. So we're going to go through the same step, less than or equal to, and we're going to be categorizing this as those that earn less than or equal to 195,000, all right, 195,000. Okay, so 195,000 will be characterizing them as high income, all right, high income earners. Okay, high income earners. All right, so now that we have this information, we have one last category or one last criteria to put in here. And instead of us going through the whole process, since it's the last criteria, Power Query is going to efficiently recognize that, oh, we've met all the criteria. Now, the last thing that is left here is this particular condition, all right? So if the condition doesn't meet any of the criteria we've listed out here, we'll be finding out that it's going to match them to this last criteria, okay? So that's one of the magical powers of Power Query, and it does it so efficiently and easily for us as HR professionals or HR analysts, okay? So here, the last criteria, I'm just going to say, if it doesn't meet any of these categories, please categorize this person as very high salary or very high income earner. All right, so this means that this individual is earning more than 85,000, more than 195,000. All right, more than 195,000. So you go ahead and click on OK. All right, so once I click on OK, Power Query creates a new column for me. All right, and I have all my salary categories. All right, so let's quickly test this out. I'll go ahead and click on middle salary, middle income, click OK. All right, so once I click on middle income, remember we characterize middle income from those that earn from 150,000 and below. All right, so annual salary now from, okay, so you won't see anybody that earns 85,000, and you won't also see anybody that earns higher than 150,000 under this range. All right, so if you look at the numbers that are here, they are between 85 plus and above, all right, between that range. Okay, so that's how efficiently Power Query can help you characterize or categorize your data. Okay, so let's move on from that. Another thing we want to do here very quickly is to characterize or categorize our age range. All right, like I said, we want to make sure that we give these individuals a bracket. All right, we want to know if we have people within a particular age group. You know, we have millennials, Gen Z, and all that, right? So giving ourselves a good categorization is going to help us to actually make sense of our data, all right? To actually make sense of our data. So we have the age group column. We'll do exactly the same thing we just did for our salary range. Conditional column again. I'll give it a name this time around, age range. All right. We have our column name. For column name, we want to go to our age column. All right. And we're going to be breaking this down into different columns. So we are using our operator less than or equal to. All right. So less than or equal to what value? The first criteria we want to use here is to create an age range of individuals that are between the age of 25 to 35. Okay, so we want to make sure that this is less than or equal to 35. So Power Query goes along and brings in all the individuals between the ages of 25 to 35. The same goes for the next age group that we're going to put in here, which is 35 to or 36 to 45. All right. So just go ahead and do that. Age, again, the column we want to use, operator is less than or equal to 45. All right. So I'll put that category there. Okay. 36 to 45. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and click on the age column again. All right. This time around, we want to look at those between the age group of 46, all right, to 55. All right. So that means we have less than 55 over here. So we want to see 46 to 55. And finally, for those that are older than 55, we're just going to put in here 56 and, okay, above. All right, 56 and above. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click OK. And Power Query creates a new column categorizing this very neatly for me. All right, like I did earlier, we are going to test this out again. Let's look at those between the age group of 25 to 35. Okay, 25 to 35. All right, so let's move on to that age column and see the figures that we're going to get. So here we go. We have only age groups between 25 to 35. You won't see anything higher than that. All right, so when you are working on this alone, you'll be able to go through the data, scroll up, scroll down, scrutinize the data, and see exactly what is going on. Okay, so that's how easily we can just work on our data, categorize it, and make it more efficient for us to analyze. All right, so before we go, we don't want to confuse Power BI once we get in there. So we are going to make sure that we edit our data types. All right, so here we have a column that contains numerical values and character. So the best thing to do here is to convert it to text. The same goes for the salary range. All right. The best thing to do here is to convert it to text. All right. In fact, everything here contains text. So that's exactly what is best for us to do. Okay. So like I said, we have 100% valid data. And now that we've arranged all our spices and all our ingredients appropriately, it's time for us to, put in our list and start serving this Zen Inc. enterprise, helping them to actually understand their employee demography in Power Query. So I'm going to load this data into Power Query so we can start building our dashboard. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm going to wait for that to load. All right. Okay, so the data set is loading, almost there. All right, so if you are still following, I want you to type in the chat, yes, I'm still following. Okay, type in the chat, yes, 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 I am with you. All right, so our data now is fully loaded. All right, our data set is fully loaded. Awesome, awesome. I can see a lot of us are following. Amazing, amazing. Okay, all right, yes, I'm with you. Amazing. Okay, so our data is almost there and we can now get started. All right. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the data to just appear on our data panel and we can speed up and start visualizing this data to see exactly what this data set is telling us. All right, so the best way to interpret your data is to create these visualizations, all right, to easily understand where you are having some issues or where you need to do some modifications, or rather, create new policies to make changes into the way employees are treated or the patterns which employees are hired within the organization. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, our data set, we still have our name as table. We want to give it a better name. Let's say employee data. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this particular information here. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just rename that very quickly. Okay. So I'll just type in employee data. All right. Employee data. All right, so we've successfully renamed that. Like I said, our data set is now fully inside our Power BI. All right, we are no longer in Power Query, we are now in Power BI. All right, we have all we need. We are now sure that yes, we have all the ingredients in our pantry, and now it's time for us to start getting ready to cook. All right, so let's start cooking. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is to think about some of the key KPIs that we are going to be working with, all right? And this includes what? It includes knowing the number of employees that this organization is working with. We also want to know the average age of individuals within the organization so that we know where our age distribution is actually, okay? Are we working with those that are close to retirement age? Are we working with those that are just fresh out of university and all that, all right? This will help us know how productive we are expecting this workforce to be or how experienced we are expecting this workforce to be, all right? So these are some key areas that we can also look at as HR professionals. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a card visual, and I'm going to visualize this very quickly. Okay, so right here, I want to look at the age, all right? So I'll just go ahead and click on age, all right? And once I click on that, we are going to get a sum figure here, all right? Okay, all right. So what we want to have here is actually the average, all right? The average age. This should give us the actual mean of distribution here, all right? So I'll go ahead and click on average, all right? So once I click on average, I get a more realistic number, all right? And telling us that, okay, most of our employees are around the ages of 29, 30, and so on, all right? So this is our average age here. So what I want to do is to round it down to 0 decimal places. So I'll just quickly do that right here. Okay, first change this to 5. And for decimal, change that to 0. All right, so rounding it down, we have 30 as our actual figure. All right, so yeah, I'll just do some featuring on this particular visual, and then we go ahead and duplicate it and look at other visuals as well. Okay. So right here, just want to turn on the background and just do some changes on the view. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm just going to duplicate this so I don't have to do the settings over and over again. Here I can just easily put in new visuals one after the other. All right. So we have our age, our average age throughout this particular visual. Let's look at other key demographics as well. All right. So for this one, I would like to just do a simple calculation just to see the area of DAX within Power BI. All right, what DAX can do. All right. So if you look at our particular average age calculation, you will notice that we have average of age. All right, which means that I have to go in here or into the title bar to ensure that I have the right name. So I want to see average age of employee, yeah? So I have to go there and do that. And this will require me doing that for every visual that carries this particular measure, all right? Average age of employees, all right? Okay, so we have average age of employee. But now, if I'm going to be calculating this as DAX, I won't be having the same issue. So here we go. For this, I just want to calculate the total number of employees we actually have within this organization. All right, so I'll just do that. Okay, I'll click on new measure. Okay, so here I'll just rename our new measure first of all, employee headcount. All right. And here we want to just look at the actual number of employees that are in this organization. All right. So I'll go ahead and use a function called distinct counts. All right. All right. So this function just helps us to count every employee information once. All right. So if we have duplicate information, it's going to just be taking that information once. All right. Counting it once. All right. So I'll go ahead, select the particular column I know would be the best for me to get this information, which is our employee ID. All right. So each employee has their own ID, which makes it a unique identifier. All right, makes it a unique identifier. So now that I have my measure, as simple as possible, you can see just one function, one attribute, that's that. I'll go ahead and click enter. All right. The advantage of this is that I don't have to go into the field bar or title bar to keep renaming or changing the names, right? So here we go, we have our name, all right? Okay, so I'll just move this around. I want to see this particular column here, and I'll start swiping out information. So I'll just take the age employee head counts that I just calculated and place it here. So we have information for employee head count. Right here again, I want to put in the employee head count. All right, but this time around, I will be looking at the total number of females in the organization. That requires me to to filter out this particular information. So here we go. I'll just expand my filter. I will be bringing in our gender attributes here. Okay, drop it in. Very straightforward. We see all the attributes that are under this. Okay, and I'll filter it out by gender. So I just want to see the total number of female. Okay, so if I click that, watch what happens to our information here. So we have 136. So I'll go in here and just change the name very quickly. Okay, female employees. Okay. All right, the same thing I'll do for this as well. Let's look at the number of male employees we have here. I'll take this over here and filter it down to male. All right. And we just check this out and rename it as male employees. Okay. All right. So now we have a good view of some distribution within the organization. Okay. Some distribution within the organization. Let me just fix this very quickly. Okay. Head counts. All right. So at first sight, when our stakeholders look at our dashboard, they'll be able to know the exact number of employees that we are working with in this organization. They'll also be able to know the number of female, the number of male employees, also the average age of workers within the organization. Now it's time for us to look at other areas as well, all right? Other areas as well, which includes looking at our ethnicity, all right? Want to know how the number of ethnicity we have for each ethnic group, all right? This will help us to know which ethnic groups are more favored than the other, all right? Are the Asians more favored? Are the Indians more favored? The blacks, the whites, and all that, okay? So let me bring in this chart right here. Okay. All right, so we want to look at the total number of employees in the organization by ethnicity. All right, so I'll take my ethnic group column here and bring it into that chart. All right, then I also want to make sure that I understand if there are more Asian males or Asian females hired in this organization. Like you can see here, we already have a graph that shows that we have more Asians in this organization. So let's look at that. I want to bring in gender as well. So this can break it down into two areas and tell us exactly what we need to see. Okay, so we can see more male Asians than female. Okay, but we have the Asian population as the highest population so far. And we can also see some disparities in Caucasians, in the Latinos, in the Blacks as well. All right, so now that we have that information, we can go ahead and look at some other areas, cleaning up this chart, in fact. All right, so let's do that very quickly. All right, so first I want to just increase some of the values that we have here and also ensure that we can all see the letters or the figures properly. I'll be turning off some axes so our data set or our visual is much presentable. Okay, so let me do that. All right. So again, we want to know the actual figures of what is going on and want to make sure that we can see that on our chart. So I'll be using a data label to help us see that even better. Okay, so under value, I'll just be working on that to enhance the size and the color. Okay, finally, All right, so we have our employee headcounts by gender. All right, so you see all those numbers that were piled up in our data. Now we can actually make sense of them and understand exactly who has the highest hire within the organization, or which ethnic group is most populated within the organization. And then we also know if there's any gender discrimination among any of these ethnic groups as well, just by looking at one chart. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to continue and look at some other attributes, okay, to categorize what we are looking at right now. Next thing we want to look at is our age, all right, our age range. Remember, I said we are going to categorize our age and see exactly how we can use it to understand what is going on with the employees in this organization, okay? So I'm going to be using a different chart here, and I'll be looking for that age range column that we created, okay? All right. So I believe we have something to work on here. We have just our age group. So once I noticed this, we only have 25 to 35, which means there's still a filter on in our data. All right, so let me just quickly fix that. I'll go back to Power Query. Okay, so this is why Power BI is very sweet. We can easily go back to our backend to fix any issues once we discover there's something in our data that we forgot to fix, all right? So imagine you go through your column, you forgot to remove a null value. You can easily just come back here and fix that, all right? So right here, we still have our filter on. So I'll just go ahead, deselect, okay? Okay, so I'm just taking out our applied step. I'll just fix this very quickly. All right, so once I bring in our data, you might see our data taking a different shape entirely, okay? The data will start taking a different shape entirely. All right, so let's wait for that to load, and we'll close and apply again. All right, so this is the beauty of Power Query, all right? So whatever we do there, it's interpreted here instantly, all right? So once we get into class as well, we'll be learning how to use automated processes, right? Where we can leverage the power of Power Query to make sense of our data. Okay, so let's see some changes right now, okay? So that's loading. You can see all our charts as well. Everything is loading simultaneously. Awesome. Okay, so we can see now that we have even more age age ranges, all right? We can see even more numbers of employees and all that. And our average age has even gone up as well. Okay, so that's that. We have this information and we are ready to go on to the next. All right, so I'll go ahead. Want to look at other areas as well. So I'll just bring this chart here. And this time around, want to look at our business units as well as the countries which each of these business units fall under. So this chart, we are going to be using a matrix chart, and I'll take our business units here. Let me just take this out. Okay, and we're also going to be looking at country, and our value will be our employee headcount. So how many employees fall under each of these categories throughout the data set. So let's just fix this up All right, we want to take out some areas and want to enlarge our data so it's easier for us to view. Okay. All right. So I believe our data set is our matrix table is ready. You can see all the distributions very easily. Don't worry, we are going to be using a color code to ensure that we see where we have more numbers instantly, not just by looking at the figures we have on the screen, but by the intensity of the color in the chart. All right, so I've done that over here. I'll see our color descriptions coming up very soon. Okay, so this is it. We can easily see that from this chart that United States has more employees in all categories more than Brazil or China. Okay, so we're going to continue. I'll just look at two more charts. We are going to be looking at our departments this time around, okay? Our departments. We also want to know if there is a good distribution of employees around departments, okay? So here we go. I'll go ahead and just uncheck this information and country as well. Want to look at our stack charts, okay? So right here, I'll go ahead and look at departments, okay? I'll look at departments. Under departments, we look at gender as well, okay? So what is our gender column going to do for us? It's going to give us a breakdown of each of these departments, all right? How many females and how many males are found under this department, all right? So quickly, I'll just do some adjustments to this so we can see the actual figures on the body of charts. Okay. All right, so we can see our figures there. Can see the IT department, the number of females and the number of male. All right, so for most of these departments, though not all, we have more male employees than female employees. All right, we have more male employees than female employees, and we're going to be looking at it one after the other. All right, we're going to be looking at it one after the other once we are done. Okay, so like I said, we have two more charts to look at, and the final chart we are going to be looking at is the chart that helps us to look into our salary, all right? Our salary. Okay. All right, so for this chart, we are going to be using something very different, all right? We're going to be using a donut chart, all right? I know some of us here, our favorite snack is donuts, all right? So we are going to be using a donut chart. Not every time we use bars and, tables and all that. So let's use something very nice and friendly, okay? So bringing our donut chart here, and we're going to be looking at our salary range, okay? And the number of employees that fall under that particular salary range, all right? So look at this as well, all right? The number of employees that fall under that salary range, okay? Okay, so I have my annual. All right, so we have our salary range here and the number of employees that fall under that salary range. So let's quickly modify this. Okay, so I'll be turning off this legend and slicers here. Okay, so I want to expand this a little bit so we can use the space in between. For our data label, I'm going to change the prospect because right now we can't see the headers or the title, which color belongs to which attribute. So simply, I'll just go ahead and bring this in. Okay, so we have label contents, all labels, all right? So immediately I do that, I can see every label that I need to see here, okay? Every label that I need to see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some modifications so we can see the actual figures, because right now I can see some of our figures are a bit bubbled up. So I'll just move this a little. Awesome. So we can see the higher income, very high, lower income, middle income earners as well. All right. So that's that. Lastly, we want to see the total amount of salary that are paid to this individual in this organization. The total amount of salary paid to the individuals in this organization. Okay, so I'll just go ahead over here. Just bring in a card visual. All right. All right, so we want to look at the annual salary. Okay, and I'm just going to be fixing the size of that so we can see it very clearly. For our category label, we'll be changing this to total annual salary or total salary. Lastly, I want to turn off the background so it doesn't interfere with our visual. So I'll just turn that off very quickly. All right, so we have a full dashboard right now, giving us a breakdown, insight into every attribute that has to do with our employees. That's the salary, the kind of salary ranges they fall under, the ethnic groups that we hire within the organization and the population of those ethnic groups, our age ranges, that's our target age range. You can see that we have an average age of 44. And if you look right here, you see those between the ages of 36 to 45 are actually the highest number of employees that this organization has, all right? And then you see that we have more employees under the IT department, which means that this organization has a lot of technology activities, all right? Okay, and we can also see the distribution of male and female in the organization. So if we notice anything that has to do with employee discrimination or unhealthy balance within any of these attributes, we can easily just bring up some insights that actually have facts, all right? So we can't go to our managers and say, oh, we have we think we have more female employees in this particular department and want to hire more male employees and all that, all right? You actually have to come with facts. How many female employees are there and how many male employees are there? What are those factors that contribute to us actually making sure that this situation does not occur again in the future? How do we keep tracking all these factors, like the number of male and female in the organization, the ethnic groups they fall under, and the countries that have more employees than the other, all right? So these are some things that we can use to understand exactly what is going on within the employee demography. All right. So lastly, I'll make sure that I give this dashboard a name, because if I don't give it a name, anybody that sees it would not know exactly what is going on. All right. So I'm going to make sure that I give it a name. So I'll go to my inserts tab and get a text box and give it a very nice title that is bold enough for all of us to see. All right. So I'll just give it a name. All right, employee demography dashboard. So let me just increase that for us and just do some text modification over here. All right, so just to save time, I'll just take out the background. Okay, and move this to the center. All right, so our dashboard now has a title, and we have a fully insightful dashboard that can easily help us to understand what's going on. So I can see we have a lot of colors on our dashboard. So let me quickly modify that and just give it a singular color. All right, so I'll just go with this. Okay. All right, so as simple as that, Power BI has all the features to make our lives very easy. So just by dragging our charts, clicking on each of these columns, we're able to generate an insightful dashboard that helped us to see exactly what is going on within the organization, the distribution of male, female, in fact, the total number of individuals in the organization. We can also see the number of employees that fall under different salary ranges. You note that those under the middle income are those that earn more, are those that have more employees. Okay, we have about 361. For the lower income earners, we can see that we have 359. Okay, but for the very high income earners, obviously, you are never going to have a large number of employees. So out of all the three figures, for the very high income earners, we just have 39. Okay, so sorry, 93 employees. Okay, that makes 9% of the entire population of Zane Inc. Company. All right, so if you're able to gain some insight on this, all right, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. All right, if you're able to gain some insights from this, just give me a thumbs up. All right, so we are going to end here tonight, and I'm going to be handing over to Adeza. I believe Adeza is still with us. So Adeza, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that, Mary. Wonderful, fantastic session. And I think it's really instructive when you see the fact that you are able to turn data into something that is visual. And most of the time, you have organizations have data, but they don't know what to do with the data. They really don't even know what the distribution of gender, the demography across the entire organization. Now, I want to ask, before I dive into the main meat, so I'll take the next 30 minutes to walk you through how to do the things Mary just did. So if you're trying to learn Power BI, you're trying to get into the HR analytics ecosystem, what do you need to learn? I'll walk you through that in the next 30 minutes. We'll have a Q&A session, and then we'll call it a day. But let me find out from you, first of all, how many of you would go back to complete the exercise? You'd all receive the recording at the end of today. If you'd go back to work on the data set, do the things Mary have done, type in a yes into the chat. So let's see those that would go back to work on the data themselves. Type in a yes into the chat. Well done, Pamela. Pamela said she'll go back. Vera, fantastic. Okay, Taiwo, I'll be looking forward to your own submission, okay? When you get the slides, you get the recording, ensure that you go back and try to do the things Mary just showed us in the last 1 hour plus. All right, so like I mentioned, I'm going to walk you through what you need to learn, because this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Okay, so a lot of people know how to use Excel, they know how to use Power BI. But is that all you need to learn? That's number one. Number two, apart from the technical skills that you have, do you need to learn anything else? And I'm going to walk you through the nitty-gritty of what you must do to transition. So to get the skills to do what Mary did today, converting this data set using Microsoft Power BI into a dashboard that looks like this. Okay, how do you learn the same skill? Now, the reason why the HR analytics profession or the HR analytics career path is so high in demand, there are three major reasons, and I'll highlight them for you. One of the major reasons is simply because of the ease of learning. It's easy to learn. It's easy for you to learn the skill in the sense that it takes you about 3 to 4 months to pick up the skills and learn all the things you need to know as a HR analyst. Secondly, the demand is extremely high. Now, anybody who finds him or herself in a role that involves data, especially for those of you in the UK, in Canada, across Africa, because when we asked at the beginning, where are you joining from? We had a couple of you joining from the UK, from the US, from Canada, and so on. The demand is absolutely phenomenal. All right. If you want to compete for the best jobs available, one of the career paths you want to consider is the HR analytics career path. And finally, the salaries are also high and rewarding. So you're not just getting into a career path simply because it sounds trendy, but the pay is also very good. And you're competing, you have career progression, and so on and so forth. So these are the three reasons usually why you would easily get a job as a HR analyst in any of the major economies, as the case might be. Now, who is a HR analyst? Everything Mary just did in the last few minutes shows what a HR analyst would do typically. But I always break it down very simple or very simply like this. A HR analyst is simply a data analyst. Is a data analyst who focuses or whose major focus is on what? People-related data. So let's just call it people data. Okay, so a data analyst would work on different types of data. The data analyst would work on customer data, sales data, project data, and so on and so forth. But a HR analyst, on the other hand, does not focus on all the different types of data. You focus on what? People-related data. So for example, you want to know if you actually meet the diversity and inclusion benchmark for your industry. You need to know how to analyze the data, present it in the form of a dashboard, and you can easily track. Connect your Power BI to your HRIS system, connect your Power BI to your workforce management system, and you can churn out reports to see exactly what is going on in the organization. So your focus is on the people. If I'm going to drive HR policies, strategies to make the business grow, I want to ensure that I know what is happening with the people and I'm driving that from a data-driven perspective. And that's who the HR analyst is. The HR analyst is simply a data analyst that focuses on people-related data. When you hire people, you hire them from different sources, different locations. For example, people join from LinkedIn. You send your job vacancy, you put them on a major job board like read.co.uk, Total Jobs, ZipRecruiter, as the case might be. Now, you have data gathered over the last 5 years, and you want to know which employees in the organization came from LinkedIn, the highest performing employees. So when you look at the organization as a whole, our best performing employees, where did we hire them from? That's a very key question any organization would love to answer. Because guess what? If I've hired from different sources, and I know that LinkedIn gives me the most loyal employees, the best performing employees, why do I need to look into other recruitment sources? And this is why you need to know how to, first of all, get the data. Secondly, have the skills to analyze the data, to extract insights and information, to take data-driven decisions. And that's the major objective of the HR analyst. So you simply analyze people data, okay, such as hiring trends, employee performance, absenteeism, and so on and so forth. And you use the information you're able to get from that data to take decisions to drive the business forward. I always say this, every single organization has three major components. The first component, the people. Second component, processes. And finally, you have technology. Okay, people, processes, and technology. You would all agree with me that without the people, there'll be nobody to drive the processes, to optimize the process, make the process better. Without the people, there'll be nobody to deploy and utilize the technology. So the people form a very critical component of any organization. So how do you take decisions without knowing exactly what is going on and why what is going on is actually going on? And that's where data comes in. So like I mentioned earlier, the HR analyst is simply a data analyst who analyzes what? People data. All right. Now, every organization knows today that for them to compete, to grow, achieve their growth objectives, they must have somebody who can work with data, understand the data, manage the data, analyze the data, because data is useless unless and until you are able to refine that data, analyze the data. Excuse me. So every organization would want the HR analyst to answer key questions for them. For example, what part of the training budget drives the business results? Every year you send employees for different training. When employees go for different training, are you tracking the return on investment? How do you tell if the training has actually delivered or not? Has the organization improved after employees, attended that training? So you want to know the best performing training programs across the organization. You also want to answer which particular word on the resume, okay, which words on the resume of the company's most successful employees. All right. So when you look at the resume of people you've employed in the past, which particular word on their resume forms a major factor or determines the success of an employee? All right. It could be something that aligns with the core value of the organization. So let's take, for example, your core value is professionalism, teamwork, and problem solving. And you've realized based on the analysis, because you've gathered the data over the years, and you've seen that the most successful employees have two major keywords on their CV. They have keywords like what? Time management. And they also have keywords like what? Problem solving. Okay, so let's just use this for illustration purposes, problem solving. And you found out that if these are the two key factors that drives performance based on the analysis of 5 years of data that we've gathered in the past, then I can start to determine and predict how employees would perform based on what they have on their resume. All right. Who does this job or who answers this question? The HR analyst. Again, you also want to find out which factors predict turnover. This is a very important one because every employees keep on leaving organizations. Why are they leaving? If we know why they are leaving, rather than having exit interviews, we can have stay interviews, okay, to stop them from leaving, to address the issues. So what are those key factors that predict employee turnover? Very important question. And of course, how would managers track the skills available in the organization so you can assign employees on critical projects based on their area of competence? Okay, and finally, you also want to ensure that you know the employees that the source that gives you the best employees in your organization. So what's the best source of hire? When you hire on your website, when you get recruitment consultants, when you post the job posting on job boards, which of these sources gives you the best performing employees? And these are also critical questions every organization would want to answer. And this gives you a very clear direction to what you'd be doing as a HR analyst. And you don't need any experience in HR for you to get into this. The program would equip you with all the skills, the rudiments of the HR life cycle. You understand the talent management life cycle. And then, most importantly, you learn the tech skills that enable you make sense of the data that the organization generates. So what exactly do you need to learn? That's the question. What must you learn to get all these things done, to answer all these questions? And these are the set of skills. And I'll break it down one by one. The first thing you need to know is what? Problem solving. And problem solving is where you are able to identify a problem. You know how to get to the root cause of the problem. You don't just start solving the problem based on the symptoms. You want to dive into the problem. What exactly is causing this problem? So you solve that problem from the roots. You also want to know how to break problems into multiple parts so that you solve those problems one after the other, invariably solving the entire problem. And problem solving is a skill anybody can learn. You need to learn the techniques, the McKinsey-Mason model. You get to the root cause of a problem using the 5 whys. You want to know how to use the prioritization matrix. So you focus on what is important and urgent and know how to categorize those type of activities. And that's where you learn problem solving. Only after you understand how to approach a problem, you then can tell if you have the data to solve the problem. If you don't have the data, you know how and where to get the data. Okay. After that, you move into Excel. Excel is one of the most versatile analytic tool you would ever get to learn for anybody who gets to work and analyze data. So you learn how to use Excel to manage your data, analyze the data, extract insights, and take decisions, building amazing dashboards and so on and so forth. And then you move into Power BI. Mary just gave us the tip of the iceberg on what you can do with Power BI. Okay. The reason why I say I want everybody to complete and do what Mary has done today is simply because of the ease of getting it done. Everybody here today can get that same thing done. However, Power BI, the name power that comes before the BI, business intelligence, is there for a reason. It's a powerful tool that helps you automate your reports, get amazing visualizations, and you can build a solution that keeps on telling you what to do in that company based on the data that you have. So you don't have to build your reports every day or every month or every week. As soon as you created your BI solution, once new data comes in, your report is automated and updated, and you can tell easily the decision you need to take. You then need to go to SQL, Structured Query Language. Every structured organization would have somewhere they store their data, and that place they store their data is called a database. Now, for you as a HR analyst to interact and get the data that you need to do your analysis, you need to understand SQL. That's the language the database understands, structured query language, all right? And for anybody in the data ecosystem, if you're a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, a HR analyst, a financial analyst, as long as you work with data, SQL is absolutely important. Is a common denominator across all these programs. You know, all these different career paths. You'd also get to learn the HR, what is HR analytics and what is involved, and of course, performance evaluation. How do you evaluate the performance of an organization from a people-driven perspective? You learn that. You learn HR metrics and life cycle. What are the different types of metrics you need to consider to help measure and track the performance of employees in the organization, your talent sourcing analysis, your demography analysis, your diversity and inclusion analysis, your absenteeism analysis, your attrition analysis. How often are people leaving the organization? What are the factors driving them to leave? Your absenteeism. What is the impact of people being absent from work? What's the impact on productivity and the impact on the psyche of the other employees, who decide to come to work every day? So you want to see those type of analysis to take decisions and see the impact on the business. You'd also get to learn how to build dashboards, more amazing dashboard, and I'll show you that on the platform before we wrap up our session today. You get to build amazing dashboards, know how to analyze data, and using tools like Power BI to create your HR dashboards. And of course, you learn how to automate your reports. As a data professional, you are always going to want to be effective and efficient. You want to get the best results at the shortest time possible. So this means that if I have a report that has to go out every week, every Monday morning, I don't want to spend my weekend, Saturday and Sunday, working on that report. Every weekend, I have a report that goes out on Monday. So I lose my weekend because I have to work on that report. You don't want to work like that. You want to use a tool like Power BI to automate the reports. Okay, so all you need to do every Friday, every Thursday, every Wednesday, once you have new data, you've created the report in such a way that your Power BI is connected to the data source. So once data comes in, your Power BI report is also automated. You don't need to touch anything. You don't need to create anything from scratch. So you learn how to do that using Power BI. You'd also learn how to build your case and create action, which is simply for some of you who are HR professionals today, and what you currently do, you feel is not impacting. You are doing work that seems a little bit mundane. And again, I understand you see some organizations wrongfully, classifying HR as a cost center because they feel the only thing HR does is to track people that go on leave and to just, disturb everybody with their policies and all of that. But it's time to start seeing HR from a strategic point of view. And these are the things you learn on how to build your case and create action as a HR analyst. And last but not the least is ChatGPT. That's AI for HR analytics. And I can't overemphasize the importance of understanding how to use tools like ChatGPT to get work done today. I mean, it's one of the most amazing things you can ever imagine. For those of you getting into the space today, you are the luckiest people on earth, because I can imagine if a tool like ChatGPT was available a decade ago when I started my own career. I mean, the growth would have been so much more exponential. So understanding how to write the correct prompts to get the type of results that you want is where you want to be. And you'd learn that using ChatGPT for HR analytics. The learning timeline, how long does it take? 4 months. 4 months. 3 months in classes. So for 3 months, you're going to be working on projects. You're going to be solving problems, different types of analysis. You learn Excel, you learn Power BI, working on real world projects. So it's project based for 3 months, and you have the other 1 month for your internship. Because most of you would be getting into this for the very first time, or you're transitioning from a banking role into HR analytics, or you're currently in customer service and you want to move into HR analytics, or you do something totally different and you want to move into HR analytics. One of the major things you'd have to do is show proof of work, proof that you've done it before, and proof that you have the skills to get it done. Once you have this, it's easy to convince any recruiter, any potential employer that you're the right person for the job. And how do you get that proof. That's where during your internship, you get to work on 4 different end-to-end real-world projects. All right. And during your 3 months of learning, you'd also work on projects that you'd put in your portfolio. I'll show you a sample portfolio and how important it is for you to have that if you are, thinking of transitioning into becoming a HR analyst. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't need any experience. You don't need to have done this before. My first degree was in industrial chemistry, nothing related to tech. My first professional job was as a management consultant. So I'd never done anything related to tech, but I learned the skills, and I'm bringing over a decade years of experience to help you accelerate your journey that would have taken so long, but now you're working with people and professionals that have done this before. They're currently doing it. So where you're going to find that pitfall, you have somebody to say, hey, don't go that route. This is the best way for you to go. How would your class look like? Your learning during the program. You have your live classes on Saturdays. So on Saturdays, you have your live class. A live class is where we get to interact. You get to ask questions. I do something and you follow what I've done. And if you make a mistake, I'll stop. You can share your screen. I'll see what you've done and correct you on what you must have done wrong. Okay, and that's the way a live class happens. We work on projects together and solve those projects in class. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the UK, in Africa, West Africa, similar time zones, your class starts from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. If you're in the US or in Canada, different time zones entirely, you have another class meant for you, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you're in the UK, you want to join the classes for those in the US or in Canada, you are welcome. You can do that. All right. So we don't want you to have to, for somebody in the US, for example, joining a class that starts at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. because of the time zone difference. So you have that, flexibility to join a class that fits your time zone. And on Sundays, you have a self-paced class. It's not a live class. It's self-paced, watch me do it videos. So you have some watch me do it videos created by myself, created by other industry professionals, and you get to watch the videos, understand the concepts, and you come to class the following Saturday to work on projects using the concept and skills you've learned from those watch me do it videos. And that's the structure of how the class runs. Live classes on Saturdays, self-paced watch me do it on Sundays. So it's a blended learning approach. And usually the way this works for people who are, slow learners, every Sunday you have the opportunity to take out time and watch the videos. Some people even stretch it into the coming week. They watch some on Sundays, watch some on Monday and on Wednesday as well. So they break it down so that they're able to cover as much and practice as much as they want to. Okay, now looking at the demand and the job outlook. And this is where I'll talk a little bit about the opportunities that we leave on the table, especially people like me. The reason why, when I say people like me, I mean people that look like me, Africans and people of the Black community. Okay, one of the reasons why Tenalytics, came up and why Tenalytics started was to help people of the African community, the Black community, to get into the tech ecosystem. I've lived in the UK, and one of the major things I've seen across my experience, you get into a data team in an organization, you see a lot of Indians, you see a lot of Asians, but I don't see people that look like me. I don't see Africans. I don't see Nigerians. I don't see Ghanaians, South Africans. Okay, so where are we? Why are we applying to the jobs that are more manual? I have to go to the warehouse, work in the warehouse. I have to do the jobs I don't want to do. Okay, why not learn the skill that you would get you into a career where you have a career progression, you can see your growth and you get into those jobs. Unfortunately, there are more jobs available than the number of people that can actually take up those jobs. Okay, for example, globally, you have a total number of openings of over 2 million in 2023, over 2 million openings. And the available analysts to apply to these jobs are just about 400,000. People with the skills to apply to these jobs are just 400,000. So you're always left with roles that goes unfilled of over 1,600,000, job vacancies. To the extent that the IMF has also projected that by the year 2030, there will be a global talent shortage of over 85 million roles. 85 million in the tech ecosystem, not across all occupations. In the tech ecosystem, you'd have a global shortage of over 85 million. And I'll give you another very quick statistic. In the year 2023, you had over 15,000 roles. You had 30,000, not 15. You had 30,000 roles available, that was available for the migrant community in Canada. Okay, let me just call Canada CAD. Out of the 30,000 roles available for the migrant community in the tech ecosystem in Canada, the Indians took over 15,000. Let me just call it 15K, which is over 50% of these jobs. And they were number one, of course, with the highest number of jobs. Number two, which was the only African country on the top 10, was Nigeria. And guess how many roles Nigerians were able to take? Just 1,800 out of 30,000 roles. So the question is, where are we applying to? Why are we applying to the jobs that we don't have clear career progression? Okay, you'd rather do the jobs that would get you, for you to earn more money, you need to do a lot of physical work, spend a lot of time to make more money. And that's why you need to get into a career path where there is job progression and you can compete for the best jobs available. And I'll share success stories of people that have gone ahead of you and they've achieved the same things you're also trying to achieve. So if these job openings are always available, why are people not taking them? And the reason is simple. People are not applying to the jobs because they don't have the skills to get those jobs. And the reason for this increase in demand, or the very high demand, also stems from COVID. Now, COVID accelerated a lot of adoption of so many things. Remote work today has come to stay simply because of the COVID and its resultant effects. Now, a lot of organizations acquired workforce management solutions, acquired HRIS systems, so they could track and manage the performance of employees across different locations. And by implementing these technologies, they generate more data. So if I implement a workforce solution, I'm going to generate data. Okay, if I adopt new technologies to improve my employee retention and engagement, I'm going to generate more data. And any organization today that wants to drive forward and grow would all need data. So organizations know that they need to get insights from the data that they have. If not, the data is useless. And 90% of the data we have today was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. So 90% of the data we have today was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. So the question is, how are we analyzing this data? And that's where organizations are looking for professionals who can help them make sense of the data that they have. And when you generate data from different sources in an organization, they need employees that have the skills. to manage that data, manipulate the data, analyze the data, and help them take decisions based on the insights they've gathered from that data. And that's what is driving the demand of HR analysts. And the salary is also phenomenal, all right, in the sense that you find yourself working from home or working hybrid, and then you are earning salary. If you want to earn more, all you need to do is upskill again, or you keep on job hopping. You move from one job after 6 to 8 months, move to the other job role, and you're able to significantly increase your remuneration using your previous job as a bargaining chip. All right. In the UK, for example, you have an average salary of over £40,000 per annum on the average as a HR analyst. In Canada, over 71,000 Canadian dollars on the average. In the US, over 73,000 US dollars on the average as a HR analyst. And without HR analysts in an organization, you would not know what happened, why it happened, and you won't be able to take decisions from a people-driven perspective to drive the business forward. The HR analyst is one of the most important roles in any organization. And some of the mistake people also make is to assume that if I learn to become a HR analyst, that's only what I can do. I can't do anything else. And that's where we at 10 Analytics always give our participants a special gift. And the gift is letting you know that there is a difference between your technical skills plus your employability skills. They are two different things. Most people have the technical, but they don't have the employability. Now, if you have one and you don't have the other, trust me, you'd be in the job market for a very, very long time without making any headway. All right. You must have the technical and also the employability. If you are the best person in Excel in the entire country or in the entire world, if you can't answer questions, you can't sell yourself during interviews, that other person that is average but can sell themselves very well would get the job before you. Okay, so technical and employability are two different things. And that's why we always tell people, once you learn the technical skill, which is a given, any organization would expect. If I'm hiring a HR analyst, you have the skill to do HR analytics, duties. However, I also want to be sure that you're the right person for the job. I want to be sure that you have good communication skill, good interpersonal skill, cross-functional experience on projects. I want to even get to notice you by having a wonderful CV. Your CV must attract me for me to call you for an interview. You must also have a LinkedIn profile that matches your persona as somebody who wants to get into HR analytics, and so on and so forth. So we also show you that you don't just apply to jobs as a HR analyst. There are so many other job roles. The HR data analyst, the people analyst job role, they're all within the HR analytics ecosystem. You have the people operations analyst, you have the HR business analyst, the talent acquisition analyst, total rewards analyst, and of course, you have the benefits analyst, you have the workforce analyst, and so on and so forth. There are a whole lot of them. And one of the things we do once you complete your LinkedIn optimization with us, we show you clearly all the job roles you can apply to, how to apply to them, where to apply to them, and we have practical sessions on that. So you're applying to a broader, spectrum of jobs compared to just the HR analyst job role. All right. All the programs come with a free internship, like I mentioned earlier, and this makes your CV stand out. And one of the other things that make your CV stand out is your portfolio. And I'm going to showcase the portfolio of somebody so you have an idea of what having a portfolio actually means. Like I said earlier, your portfolio does something for you. It is your proof of work, and proof of experience. So how do I know you're very good with Excel? How do I know you're very good with Power BI? How do you know you're very good with SQL? I need to be able to measure that, from the work you've done in the past. All right. And one of the easiest ways is to build a portfolio. So I've kept the links for you. Once you receive the slide, you can click on any of the links, interact with the portfolio. But let's go to the first one and see. Okay, and I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. So this is the portfolio for Alabi Bayo. Alabi Bayo joined our HR analytics program and he's built amazing stuff. And these are the type of things you build when you join the program. So let's look at one of his projects. This is a project for the automobile exploratory data analysis sample portfolio project. But what I want you to see are the people and HR projects, okay? So let's click on view projects and let's get into Alabi's portfolio. So this is his portfolio. You'd see people analytics, and of course you see his first project, which is the employee performance analysis. This is one of the projects you work on during the program, okay? And it's simply having the overview, indicating what this project is all about, built using Microsoft Power BI, just like Mary showed us how to take data from scratch and build something, from that data set. So you can see what the dashboard looks like. And if you want to read, you can see the documentation. Okay, this project provides insights into the performance of a waste management company for Q4 2021 to Q1 2024. If we scroll down, so you can see the data source where he got his data from, the tools he used. He used the Google Sheets for the data sets and then Power BI for the dashboarding. All right, all the steps he took, data cleaning, the dashboarding, the results and findings. And of course, you must have a recommendation. If you've analyzed data and found something, what solution are you bringing to the table? What should we do? And part of the recommendations, if you look at them, number one says the organization needs to look into the composting program implementation and how to improve its performance. The organization needs to look into the cost of reducing performance from Q4 2023. And then the organization needs to design a cumulative rating metrics for each employee. All right. So you can also see another project, the second project, which is a recruitment tracking project, also using Power BI. So this is what your portfolio would look like. And any employer or any recruiter that goes to your portfolio and sees what you've done would know clearly that Alabi Bayo that built that portfolio and worked on those projects is very good with Power BI. There'll be no doubt about it. And the link to your portfolio would always be on your CV. And these are the things we show you during your CV review session. And of course, we have amazing success stories like I mentioned earlier. So who are the people that have done the things you're trying to do? I'll highlight a few of them, okay? Victor, for example, Victor joined us, and less than 2 months after joining the program, Victor landed a job as a people operations analyst with an organization in the US, in Chicago, Illinois. He worked as a people analyst for the organization. He lived in Lagos, Nigeria, and worked for the company remotely. He was earning in dollars and spending in Naira, which is a life anybody in Nigeria would want to live. And that was Victor. And that was Victor's success story. Victor has, I kept the link where he made a video to talk about how he was able to transition. I met Victor in 2020. And the first time I met Victor, he was thinking of getting into tech. I was in Lagos at that point in time, Lagos, Nigeria. We met, and he told me, Adeza, I'd like to get into the data world. I want to know how to analyze data. And I said, absolutely. Come and join us and join one of our programs, and let's work with you. He waited another 2 years, and he joined us after 2 years, joined the HR analytics program, and He's been one of the most successful. Moving from the role, working remotely for the company in the US, he's now a senior HR business partner in the technology division with Tangerine Africa. Okay, and that was Victor's story. He started, and the reason why he got his interview, I'll show you practically his LinkedIn profile and some of the things you also have to put in place to ensure that when somebody sees your CV and they go to your LinkedIn, it all matches and you are the same person. Same with Sonia. Sonia moved to the UK for her master's. And just like so many people that studied in the UK, I studied in the UK as well. So I can tell you categorically, very early in your studies, your master's, you realize that you're not going to learn the skill that will get you the job at the end of your program. All right. So she realized and she came to us and said, look, I want to join the HR program. She joined, completed the program. We worked with her during her interviews and so on. And today she works as a HR analyst with British American Tobacco in the US. I beg your pardon, in the UK. All right. You have Maureen. Maureen also joined our HR analytics program. And today Maureen works with TELUS. For those of you in Canada, you definitely know TELUS. It's one of the largest telecommunications company in Canada. And Maureen is a HR data analyst with TELUS in Canada. Olajide also got a job as a HR analyst for an organization in Nigeria, Stanbic IBTC. And you have so many other fantastic professionals. All right. So what I'll do, I'll just play one of the videos, 1-minute video, just to sound them out and get to hear from them. Okay. Let's get to hear from this amazing lady and let's hear what our experience was like joining Tenalytics. Okay. It's about 52 seconds. I'll play that very quickly and then let's listen and hear what she has to say.
My experience with Tenalytics was amazing. I'd come to learn about the program through a friend who was doing a different course with them and had raved about how amazing his course instructors were and how excited he was. And I decided to check out the website and I found the HR analyst program, which piqued my interest, and I decided to go for it. During the duration of my program, I truly felt like I had great instructors who were truly knowledgeable, very supportive. They, did not mind explaining things over and over again and carried the entire classroom along, which I thought was really wonderful. I have developed new skill sets, in such a short amount of time, and I think this speaks to how amazing the instructors really were.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so that was Victor. Okay, Victor has a very long video of about 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with Victor's video. I want you to go back.
Hello, everyone.
All right, and I want you to listen to Victor when you receive the slide. You would learn amazing stuff from Victor on how he was also able to transition and he got a remote job. From there, he moved into even a more lucrative job eventually. And in all the duration of his journey, we worked with him. We ensured that Victor was well prepared for all those interviews he attended. Okay. And these are people that have done the same thing that you are also trying to do. You also have Muhyiddin. Muhyiddin currently lives in Ibadan, Nigeria. Works for a company in the UK, working remotely, earning in pounds, spending in naira. You have Oluwadamilare, who currently works for an organization in the UK as well. We prepared him for his interview. He had a series of interviews, stage 1, 2, 3, I think 4 different stages. We worked with him, prepared him. And today he got a job as a sustainability data analyst with a company called BAM in the UK. You also have Benga, amazing, fantastic guy, joined our program. Benga, for 2 years, was trying to get a job and he struggled. But then he joined us, we worked with him, prepared him for interviews, wrote references for him, and he landed a job as a business data analyst in Poland. Benga has recommended over 10 people back to Tenalytics, and even his girlfriend has also come to Tenalytics to learn with us as well. Okay, so you have amazing testimonials. And I'm going to leave the link for you to click on this link. It takes you to our YouTube page and you get to listen to all the amazing professionals that have come through Tenalytics, got amazing value, and they are currently ambassadors for Tenalytics in different organizations. The lady you see here on the screen, Ikmat joined us, currently works with the NHS, full visa sponsorship in the UK, which is what everybody always wants. She got it easily on her own terms. She got the job while she was still in the training program. We prepared her for her interview. She got the job. The job was willing to wait for her. She completed her master's and she took the job. And today she works with the NHS in the UK as a data analyst as well. So how do we ensure that we separate you from the competition? Because that's the most important question. There are lots of people trying to get the same jobs that you want to get. How do you separate yourself? It's a three-layered approach, and I've talked about it while I was explaining, so I'll just breeze through this very quickly. The first one is your CV. If you don't have a fantastic CV that beats the ATS system, the applicant tracking system, which looks at the keywords on your CV and the keywords on the job requirements, you won't get noticed. So we work with you to create a stellar CV. We also work on your LinkedIn optimization. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we help you create one. If you have one, we work with you to optimize your profile. You have Upwork optimization, which is where you get to apply and create a profile to get jobs working as a freelancer. For those of you who want to work on projects across different regions, this is the best platform for you. How to navigate the job market. Where are the opportunities? How do you latch, onto opportunities in Canada, in the US, in the UK? How do you navigate certain type of myth and misconceptions? For example, Canadian work experience, if I don't have it, I can't get a job. UK work experience, if I don't have it, I can't get a job. I was working for companies in the UK while I was in Nigeria, and same with so many other of our participants. Okay, so we help you demystify all those misconceptions that you can't get a job except you have something extraordinary. Okay, so all the things you need, the ingredients, are the things we provide. We've had over 4 years doing this and refining our strategy, and these are the things that have made us so successful. When you have an interview, you need to know what to say and how to say it. How do you introduce yourself? How do you answer competency-based questions? Because your competency-based questions are the questions that carry the highest marks during the interviews. Questions that would ask, how have you utilized Power BI to solve a talent, management problem in your previous organization? So they want you to tell them practically how you've used data, Power BI, to solve a pressing problem in an organization. So they want to know the skills, the depth of your skills, and also your experience. Have you done it before? So we work with you. We have interview preparation sessions. We have interview mock-up sessions that helps prepare you for that eventuality. Of course, once you get the offer, you need a reputable organization to write a reference for you, because these organizations, your employers would want to find out where you have worked before. And all our participants are not learners. You never portray yourself as a student of Tenalytics or as a student at all. You don't do that, because no employer wants to hire somebody who is new into that field. They want to hire somebody that knows what he or she is doing. So if you're if you join the HR analyst program, your job title with us would be what? HR analytics consultant. Okay, so when you present yourself in this way, or HR analyst or HR analyst contractor, all right, you must show that you're actually doing work and you're not just learning, and they don't have that perception that you're hiring a learner who knows nothing, because the same skills you learn in class are the same skills you deploy when you eventually get the job. The second level is simply your weekly mentorship sessions every Thursday evenings, where myself, industry experts, the co-founder of Tenalytics, and so many other professionals would help hold your hands. And once you get a job and you need additional support, we are also there to hold your hands all the way to have a solid footing in that job. Finally, our promise to you is 1 month after you're done with the program, you will get a guaranteed interview 1 month after completing your program with us. And this stems from all the strategies we're going to put in the first level, the second level, and this is what has made Tenalytics so successful. Most of our participants come through referral, all right? Oh, have you been to Tenalytics? You're trying to get into this, go to Tenalytics. They're the best place to be. So you have a guaranteed, interview 1 month after completing your training with us. And that's our promise to you. I talked about the internship where you get to work on 6, real projects and so on and so forth. You get to have a project review with an expert. Once you complete the project, somebody looks at what you've done and gives you the feedback. And some new additions we added in the year 2024. Number 1 is the body mentorship, which is we bring people like Victor, people like Jalilat, people like Sonia, people like Muideen, who have done the things that you're trying to do. We bring them back to work with you so that you also get to see the practicality of how to get the same thing done. Because somebody who has just done it will be working with you and you can ask pertinent questions. You have an enhanced internship experience. And finally, you get to be in a pool where our partners, we have partnerships with recruitment agencies in the UK, in Canada, and also in the US, and even in Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. Okay, so you get to find yourself in a pool where organizations can easily reach out to you and invite you for interviews. The next cohort starts on the 8th of June, 2024. And we currently have an amazing, fantastic discount. We are still on the early bird discount, all right? So what does it take for you to be in our HR analytics program? And I'm going to show you that. Just give me 1 second. I'll just quickly share that with you. So to join the next cohorts commencing on the 8th of June, for you to be a part of it, you want to get into the program as early as possible. All right, you want to get into the program as early as possible so that you get to take advantage of the discounts that exist. All right, you get to take advantage of the discounts that exist. So we have an amazing discount. If you're paying in dollars, sorry about that. Even if instead of paying $750, the full amount, you get a whopping $150 right off the bat. So you get to pay just $600 instead of $750. So the 20% off discount. Okay, and you can make, once you take advantage of the discount, you can make payments in 2 installments. The first payment of $400 and the second payment of $200. The second payment comes in 1 month after the program must have commenced. So on or before 1 month after you started, you get to pay the balance. But before you can start the program, and for the first 20 people to fill the HR analytics course for the next cohort, so you fall within the first 20 people to register, you get the early bird discounts and you get to pay just $600. If you're paying in pounds, instead of £625, you get to pay just $500, $350 to get into the class, get access to the material, get access to the classroom, and you get to pay the balance of $150 a month after the program must have commenced. If you're paying in euros, you get to pay just 580 euros, all right? 400 and 180. If you are paying in Canadian dollars, instead of paying 1125, you get to pay just 900, 600 and 300. And if you are paying in Naira, you get to pay just 720, 500, and 220,000 a month after the program must have commenced. And I'll walk you through very quickly what you need to do to make payments, or how to go ahead and make payment for those of you who would be interested in getting your journey started. And I would also quickly, in the next 10 minutes, show you the platform and what the platform looks like. How are you going to learn with us at Analytics? And you have access to the QR code for those who want to go ahead and join the program that commences on the 8th of June, 2024. Okay, so I'll walk you through the process very quickly and show you what you need to do. The first thing you want to do is click on this link. All right, my colleagues will share that in the chat. You can use the QR code, or when you receive the slide, you also have access to this link. Once I click on the link, it takes me into the enrollment center. All right, and from the enrollment center, all I need to do is look for where I have, you can either pay using a direct transfer, depending. You want to pay into the pound account, you want to pay in dollars, you want to pay in Canadian, you want to pay in euros, or you want to make payments in Naira. You have the option to do a direct transfer. And you can also make payments using your credit or debit card. All you need to do is come in here, look for where you have HR Analytics, click on that. It takes you into the HR Analytics Payment Center. Now, the minimum amount I can pay is £250. So what it means is, instead of even paying the £350 as the first installment, I can take advantage of the discount by paying minimum of £250. And all I need to do is enter £250. Okay, secure my discount, click on proceed to pay, enter your full name. All right, I'm just going to enter my name, enter my email. All right, enter your phone number, and then you click on pay with card. You enter your card details, and then you get to make payments by confirming payment. Now, once you've confirmed payment, you receive an automated receipt into the email you've provided. The email would also come with a link for you to register. So once you receive your receipt, it comes with a link, you register, you receive your details, and a week before the program starts, you would receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains every single thing you need to be in the classroom. And a typical classroom would look like this. All right, so this is the class that started in February. You'd see that there, 02-24, the February cohorts. And part of the things, the reason why this is an amazing platform, the very first things you'd see are your employability resources. So you'd have a link for you to book your interview. If you have an interview, all you need to do is come in here, okay, and click on this Calendly, the Calendly link to book your interview. You enter your details and select the time and date that you want your interview prep to hold, and somebody would work with you. You'd also get access to the best HR analyst CV templates with the right formats for the best, job opportunities and so on. You have that template you can always rework and tailor to the jobs you will be applying to. And like I mentioned earlier, you'd also have the roles. I highlighted a couple of them: people operations analyst, people analyst, workforce analyst. You have access to a document that shows you clearly everything that you need, how to structure your role on your LinkedIn profile, and the different job roles you can also apply to after completing the program. So you have access to all of this. You have access to the job websites where you need to apply to jobs, after showing you a practical example of the application process. You have your job application tracker, the jobs you apply to, and we also track from the back end to see how well you're applying to these jobs. And once you've applied to 15 jobs and no results, we then reach out to you and refine your strategy so you get better results going forward. Okay. Now let's look at the very first class in this cohort very quickly. They've done quite a lot, so you'd see quite a lot of content. Your very first class is problem solving. If you remember, when I was walking you through all the things you need to learn, the amazing stuff is if you miss a class for any reason, you have the class recording. All you have to do is come to the class recording, click on the link, and it takes you to the recording of the class that's held on that day. You also have access to the slides and the material. So everything that was done, you can relive, rewatch, and re-experience the entire process all over again. And you have lifetime access to these materials. After your problem-solving class, you have your very first Excel Watch Me Do It, which is self-paced on a Sunday. All you need to do, come into the platform and you watch your videos, short videos, 5 to 10 minutes, watch them, practice the things you see in the videos ahead of your next class the following Saturday. You have a mentorship session, which was an interview simulation. That was what we did on this particular, mentorship session. And for anybody who misses, like I said, every session is recorded. Come here, click on the link. It takes you into the recording and you'd see everything that happened, during that, interview simulation, all right? And you have access. You have access to all the materials, you have access to all the recordings, and so on and so forth, okay? So this is rolling. I'm just going to leave it to load, and then we get to see what, a mentorship session can look like. And of course, if you scroll up, you have your very first Excel class, you have your second Excel Watch Me Do It, you have another simulation session, and then your Excel live class 2. So it's progressive. And when we say the classes are project-based, this is what we mean. Once you click on your class material, you'd see the fact that all the things you've done are projects for specific organizations. This particular project is for a company called Agro Limited, and it's a supply chain analysis case study. So you're not learning Excel by just learning the tool. You are learning how to use Excel to solve problems. All right. So this is just giving you an example of the type of things you'd learn. Let's go back to the video. So this is somebody answering a question he was asked. So this is, let me just unmute it for like 1-2 seconds.
Of them, okay, and that's why we require that you have expertise in tools like SQL, Excel, and also visualization.
Thank you very much. That's interesting. Yeah.
All right, it's a pleasure. Okay, I would invite Olawale to give his feedback, then I give mine as well. But if Emela, I saw your hand up, I think you want to give your feedback.
Before I give my feedback, I would like to ask Grace just 2 questions, really. As a financial analyst, I just want to know how, you talked about using SQL, okay? So currently, we don't, in this organization that you're coming into, we currently don't have SQL. It's not something that we're currently using, all right? So as an analyst, so you say you have a wealth of experience working with SQL for financial analytics. So could you walk me through a process? Being the fact that we don't use it currently, could you tell me how you would use it within this organization? How would you develop, how would you implement this particular, because this is the reason why we're looking for a financial analyst to implement such solutions within the business. So could you walk me through it?
I want to get.
Okay, so so that we don't take too much time on this. So what is happening here is a live mentorship session. All right. This is Grace. Grace is a financial analyst, and you have people asking questions. to simulate the type of questions you get in an interview. And Grace would respond and she gets real-time feedback. In this session, you have over 300 people watching and listening to the type of questions you're likely going to get. So you get to learn amazing stuff, during your mentorship sessions. And again, you have your body mentorship, your CV review sessions, and that's what the platform looks like and how you get to learn with us, all right? I'm just going to walk you through. I think I've walked you through the payment option, and I'll leave you with this. Go to the YouTube page and listen to the amazing professionals that have been in the HR analytics program. And like I mentioned earlier, the reason why our participants are so successful is because of two major things: the technical skills plus their employability skills. That's what makes the difference. You can't get a job with just one. You have to combine the two to eventually land a job. And that's where we do our best work, all right? If we have questions, I'll take out time in the next 7 minutes so that we can wrap up at 3:30 my time, which should be around 10:30 in the UK, 10:30 p.m. in Nigeria as well. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions and I'll be very happy to answer those questions. And one thing I would also want to mention very quickly is if you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a family member, you have a colleague that you think can benefit from being a part of our program, recommend this to them, send them the message and tell them to be a part of Tenalytics. All right. We've had a lot of people who got the links from their brothers, from their dad, from their cousins, and eventually they joined and they've gotten amazing success from the program itself. Okay. One more thing before we wrap up, I'll just show you how to get us across all our socials and easily reach out and connect with us. So one of the first things you want to do, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, and so on. And of course, go to YouTube. All right, go to YouTube and search for Tenalytics. Go to YouTube and search for Tenalytics. Okay, sorry, I think I clicked on Tenalytics Hackathon, but anyways, search for Tenalytics, click on our logo, and this takes you to the Tenalytics page. Ensure that you subscribe. Once you've subscribed, you have access to numerous content for free. Numerous content for free. You can learn how to use any skill, Excel, Power BI, Python, anything you want to learn, you can get it for free. Okay, all you need to do is just scroll through all the different videos that we have. Click on videos, you'll see all the videos starting from the latest. All right, you can watch the fastest way to become a data engineer. You can also see people that came to speak about how I secured a job after training with Tenalytics. You can listen to these amazing professionals. Oluwadamilare was there. Karima, who got a job working for a company in Canada, living in Nigeria, she was also there. You get to listen to them and hear their story. You have a beginner's guide to data visualization using Python. You can learn this for free. So follow us on our YouTube and you get to be on top of every information that we have coming across your way. And you have access to, get access to the brochure, to see the nitty-gritty of what you need to learn. You just go to tenalytics.io, okay, tenalytics.io, and that's the website. You have access to our website and you can go ahead and go to learn, go to instructor-led courses, and you can see all the programs and the specifics of what you'll be learning. So if I go to HR Analytics, click on that, it takes me to the HR Analytics program. Okay, and I can look at the brochure, click on download brochure. You have access to the brochure and see all the specifics of what you learn during the program and who your facilitators would also be. So you can see your learning curriculum, you learn problem solving, you learn Excel, you learn Power BI, you learn SQL, you learn HR analytics and performance evaluation, and every single thing you're going to learn, you'd have that there. You have your learning timeline and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. I'll just stop here and call it a day. And I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Olaide is asking, if I enroll for HR analytics and feel the need to learn data after the training, will I still pay the same? This is what I'll say, Olaide. Like I mentioned at the beginning, a HR analyst is a data analyst that focuses on HR-related data. The exact skills you'd learn, the tools you'd learn, your Excel, your Power BI, your SQL, your problem solving, those are the same things you'd learn as a data analyst. The difference is the type of data you get to work with. So it doesn't make sense to learn HR analytics, then come back to learn data analytics, because you'll pretty much be learning very similar tools. So what we advise, because we've had HR analysts get jobs as data analysts and so on and so forth, what we'd advise you to do is on the type of projects that you get to work with. Time is fast spent, and I'd love to show you how you get your data, how you get to work on more projects that improves your portfolio. So when you're applying to jobs, you're not just applying as a HR analyst, you're applying as a data analyst, as a BI analyst, insights analyst, solutions analyst, and so on and so forth. It's all in the project. I've worked in agriculture as a precision analyst. I don't have experience in agriculture, but how did I get to work on an agricultural related project? And that was simply because I got data sets online and I built my experience working on agricultural related data sets or agriculture related data sets. Okay, so that enhanced my portfolio. I now knew how to talk about using data to answer agriculture related problems. For example, what are the factors that can increase or improve the yield of potatoes on a farm? What's the moisture content? What level of moisture content do you need to have? Okay, what level of nitrogen? So gathering data, working with data online on those type of projects would give you experience in areas that you ordinarily would not have experience. I've done the same in the health sector. I've worked on health-related projects, working with the UK government, helping them understand the causes of alcohol-related death and how to come up with policies to reduce alcohol-related death. I don't have any experience in the health sector, but how did I build that experience? By simply working on more projects, because the underlying tools that I need, my Excel, my Power BI, my SQL, and all those technical tools, I already know how to use them, which you learn how to use during the HR analytics program. So you don't need to go start a new program from scratch. We call it learning forever. You don't want to learn forever. You want to learn, extract value, and then you can shift into something else. Okay, so that's me just advising you going forward. However, if I needed to answer that question directly, I'll simply just say we give additional 5% discount to an alumni or an alumnus. So if Olaide has done a program with us before and you're coming back as a repeat customer, as a returning customer, you get additional 5% discount. You don't have to pay. But again, it doesn't make sense to do HR analytics and come back to do data analytics. All right. In terms of the tools you'll be learning, you'll be learning pretty much the same set of tools. And why not just work on more projects, which is what would guide you on what to do? Stella is asking, can a HR analyst graduates be regarded? Absolutely. Anybody who works with tech-related tools, you're in IT, HR analysts, financial analysts, data scientists, data engineers, scrum masters. As long as you work in the tech ecosystem, you know how to use tech-related tools, you're a tech bro or you're a tech sis. In this case, Stella, I'd call you a tech sis. Okay, so we build technology experts for the global workforce. So as a HR analytics professional, you are definitely in the tech ecosystem. Stella is dancing. Okay, I love the question. Thanks for that, Olaide and Stella. Okay, I think I can't see any more questions in the chat. Again, like I said, follow us across all our platforms. If you ever have any questions, just send us a message and somebody would respond to you in the shortest time possible. No, you can't work as a data scientist, Stella. As a HR analyst, you can't work as a data scientist because there is one fundamental skill you need to add. Okay, so when Olaide asked, data analyst, HR analyst, I told her simply that the set of skills are pretty much the same. But for the data scientist, there is a level, there's one step, additional, or one additional step that you need to add to your set of skills. And that's statistical modeling, or let's say two sets of skills, statistical modeling and Python. Statistical modeling and Python, because you need to understand statistics to forecast and predict the future. Okay, and you use Python to build those machine learning models that would help you predict the future, from your linear regression to different other machine learning models that you will be building to ensure that you're able to predict what the future says. So without Python, without statistics, you can't be a data scientist, and you're not going to learn that as a HR analyst. All right, so there is something for everybody. Not everybody wants to go to learn statistics. Not everybody wants to, put their heads down to learn Python, especially given the stage you find yourself in your career. You might currently be a senior manager. You want to find yourself on a role whereby you can give strategic decisions. You can, you have direct reports that will do a lot of the nitty-gritty for you. So you might want to get into Python at that stage. You probably have, you ran away from mathematics and statistics all through your high school and university. You wouldn't want to come to learn statistics at this point in time. All right. So you have different career paths, different pathways for different people based on your own preference. But as a data scientist, you must add statistics and Python to your set of skills. Okay. But that's a brilliant question, Stella. Thanks for that. All right. So I'll draw the curtains right now. Like I said, share the message with people you think can benefit from what we offer at Tenalytics. And a big thank you to everybody that has stayed from the beginning up until this moment. And I want to say have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead of you. I want to see you join the program. Okay. Connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. My name on LinkedIn is exactly the way my name is, Adeza Suleiman. Search for me, you'd find me, and just connect. I'll be very happy to connect back with you. Okay, see you in class and have an amazing weekend ahead. And cheers, everybody.